On 13 January, the Supreme Court delivered a judgment on a petition filed by the Old Settlers Association of Sikkim mentioning Sikkimese-Nepalese as, quote, persons of foreign origin, unquote. This observation sparked protests and clashes between the ruling Sikkim Krantikari Morcha or SKM and the opposition Sikkim Democratic Front or SDF. People of the state witnessed stone pelting and violent clashes for the first time since 1975 when Sikkim, an erstwhile kingdom, merged with India following a referendum.
Sikkim, known as one of the most peaceful state in the country, has been witnessing a lot of troubles, some sort of violence in the past few days since the Supreme Court in its judgment observed that the Sikkimese-Nepalese, the indigenous people, as foreigners. So the state that has never seen incidents like strikes or stone pelting at opposition parties' headquarters or attacking opposition leaders are seeing it all now. We from ThePrint are now in Gangtok. We are here to cover this entire incident, and we are going to talk to all the stakeholders, the common people and the leaders from both parties, the ruling and the opposition parties. So now we are in front of SDF, the Sikkim Democratic Party, the party that was in power for 25 years until 2019 when the SKM in alliance with BJP won and formed the government. So we are now here to take you in and around Gangtok and also bring a comprehensive view of the whole issue, because as you know, Sikkim is a very sensitive border state and it shares border with China, with Nepal and with Bhutan, and this is absolutely an issue of national importance because now Sikkim is seeing something Darjeeling had witnessed a few years back. It is an identity crisis. The people are really apprehensive about it and they are feeling insecure. So stay tuned with us.
Following the protests and unrest, the Chief Minister of Sikkim, Prem Singh Tamang, met senior central ministers last week and assured them that the state will file a review petition. On Monday, Ministry of Home Affairs filed a review petition, and the MHA has submitted before the Supreme Court its position about the sanctity of Article 371F of the Constitution that safeguards the Sikkimese identity, the MHA said in a statement on Twitter. While the current crisis over the identity of Sikkimese-Nepalese have been averted by dropping the reference of Sikkimese-Nepalese as of foreign origin, the state is now on the boil over politics around the issue. ThePrint traveled to Sikkim to get a more comprehensive view of the situation.
25 साल सरकार में मैं था तो उस टाइम में ऐसा कभी मैंने नहीं देखा और इस तरह का नौबत नहीं आई पहले, लेकिन पहली बार मैं भी देख रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं राजनीति में बहुत पहले से हूँ। ये पहली बार इस तरह का टर्मोइल हुआ है कि यहाँ के लोग आज सब असंतुष्ट है, काफ़ी डरे हुए हैं। और ये जो इशू अभी है, ये आइडेंटिटी का इशू है, आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस हो गया सिक्किम के लोगों को, क्योंकि सिक्किम के लोगों ने सिक्किम को रेफरेंडम करके सिक्किम को भारत का 22वां राज्य बनाया था। तो उसी समय में मैं भी राजनीति में आया था और मैं भी एक रेफरेंडम में वोट डालने वाला एक वोटर्स हूँ। लेकिन आज अचानक सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऑब्जर्वेशन में बोल दिया कि सिक्किम का लोग फॉरेनर्स है। तो ये जो चीज़ सुन के सिक्किम के लोग आज स्तब्ध बने हुए हैं, ये काफ़ी अभी दुखी हैं। सिक्किम लोग सोचते हैं कि बहुत बड़ा अपमान है, बहुत ज़्यादा ये अन्याय है। हमने खुद सिक्किम को भारत में शामिल किया है और इस भारत देश में इतना बड़ा योगदान किसी प्रदेश ने नहीं दिया है, क्योंकि हमारा देश 565 राजा और रजौटे को मिला के बनी हुई देश है। लेकिन सिक्किम ही एक ऐसा उदाहरण है कि यहाँ के लोगों ने खुद 14 फरवरी 1975 में रेफरेंडम के द्वारा सिक्किम को भारत का 22वां राज्य बनाया। तो बनाने के बाद में जो वोटर्स का डिसेंडेंट्स है हम लोग, जो उस समय में रेफरेंडम में भाग लेने वाले लोग ही आज सिक्किम के नागरिक हैं। तो उस नागरिक को आज फॉरेनर्स का एक टैग लग गया है और इससे ज़्यादा सिक्किम लोग अभी बहुत ज़्यादा घबराए हुए भी हैं और बहुत दुखी भी है।
इनसिक्योरिटी भी बहुत ज़्यादा है क्या
और
सर?
इनसिक्योरिटी बहुत ज़्यादा है, क्योंकि ये सारी चीज़ आज यहाँ पर हुआ है, इसके पीछे वर्तमान सरकार की ना समझ के कारण है, उसका कमियां खामी के कारण है। ये बहुत ही सेंसिटिव इशू है, इस चीज़ को सही प्रकार से इस सरकार ने डील नहीं किया है, इसीलिए ये सब घटना हुई है। ये तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो फैसला किया है उसको तो सर्वमान्य है, मानना पड़ेगा, लेकिन जो भी फैसला है इसके पीछे सिक्किम सरकार की हाथ है, क्योंकि इसने अच्छी तरह से सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एक्सप्लेन नहीं किया है ये इशू क्या है, इसी के कारण से सब ये समस्या आई है। इसका संपूर्ण आंसरेबल सिक्किम गवर्नमेंट है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो क्या है, वो तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो
जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स प्रेजेंट
होगा, जो सिक्किम की सरकार की एफिडेविट होगी और सिक्किम सरकार का वकील जो कहेगा उसी के आधार पर वो तो फैसला सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो करेगा। उसने कर दिया सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने, लेकिन ये जो केस है, जो समस्या है, ये तो पार्लियामेंट सब्जेक्ट है। ये तो ये पार्लियामेंट सब्जेक्ट है, इसको पॉलिटिकली डील करना चाहिए। कि भारत सरकार को बताना चाहिए कि सिक्किम के नेपाली लोग कौन है, भुटिया लेप्चा कौन है, उस बारे में तो भारत सरकार को बताना चाहिए। इसके लिए पार्लियामेंट जाना चाहिए, पार्लियामेंट में बिल पेश करना चाहिए।
Sikkim enjoys a special status under the Article 371F of the Constitution, like Jammu and Kashmir did before August 2019 under Article 370. MHA in its statement on Monday said that the Government of India, quote, reiterated its position about the sanctity of Article 371F of the Constitution that safeguards the Sikkimese identity, which should not be diluted. The SDF leaders claim that the Supreme Court's decision of striking down the exclusion of old settlers from Sikkimese population and allowing them the tax exemption is the first step on the state's integral special powers. The leaders said that the SKM, which is in alliance with the BJP in the government, is trying to dilute the current status of Sikkim.
The judgment came, and then in the judgment, the main contentious issue were the dilution of the word Sikkimese. Sikkimese, that word that defines the indigenous people of Sikkim, was tampered with, was diluted, because it directly affected the Sikkim Subject Regulation 1961. That is the rule that the king established prior to becoming a part of the Union of India. So number one was that dilution of the word Sikkimese was observed by the Honorable Supreme Court in the judgment. The second was it also observed the foreign tag of the Nepalese committee. The Nepalese were tagged as foreigners during the course of the judgment. So naturally, these were highly resented by the Nepalese committee also, and also taking into consideration the dilution of the word Sikkimese. Right, the Sikkim went into naturally it has under a lot of public disturbance happened in Sikkim during the last few weeks.
SKM leaders, on the other hand, called these statements as tricks to play with people's emotions and polarize them on community lines before the elections.
We have to identify the people who were resorting to stone pelting, etc. You see, there are a number of instances in the past when the people who are now in opposition, what type of dirty measures they had adopted to in the past. So finger points towards them only. It is possible that they themselves did the whole thing and then trying to blame the state government. You know, I can tell you, way back in 2014 election, what happened? 2014 election, there was one N.K. Suba, he was brutally killed, and then our party was blamed for that. There are some other instances like that, you know. I mean, in order to come back to power, you know, through various unfair means and sort, so long as the people who were there, who were responsible for this, are not identified, how can you say that the ruling party people did this thing, that thing? state government is there. So far we have maintained peace. We will continue to maintain peace. We will see to it, whoever the culprits, we will see to it they are punished.
How many people were arrested, sir, after
I think I exactly don't know how many people were arrested. I think, but then there were incident in this thing, Beijing also, just before on the 3rd, where Mr. Chamling people, they went and sort of vandalized the shops and all. They forcibly trying to. So these are there were also people arrested. So long as people not identified, we will not be able to say who did it. And I'm telling you, like Mr. Chamling, I would say he is expert in doing all these things.
The old settlers in Sikkim comprise of 400 families, which include around 2,700 individuals in the state with a population of about 6.7 lakh. Nepalese form 75% of the total population, Lepchas and Bhutias form around 23%, while the old settlers are around 2% according to the last census, said the minister. The old settlers, however, feel that the current issue is being played up by both the parties for the upcoming elections. One of the members of the Old Settlers Association, who did not wish to be named, said, quote, "The petition is 10 years old. We used to give a 4% of state tax to the government, while the rest of Sikkim residents never paid any tax. We wanted to resolve this disparity and move the court." Unquote. Dr. Balaram Pandey, assistant professor of Sikkim University, explained that the people have a feeling of insecurity as the influx has changed its demography to a great extent. Quote, "There is a strong local sentiment. They want their identity to be protected. The erstwhile kingdom has a special provision for the residents, and that is called Sikkim Subject. The residents need to get a Sikkim Subject certificate to enjoy the identity as Sikkimese. The people with the certificate are considered as the indigenous or original people of Sikkim." Unquote, said Dr. Pandey. If this issue is not addressed immediately and effectively, will this snowball into a bigger worry for India, considering the state's sensitive location and its proximity to China and Nepal? In and around MG Marg in central Gangtok, young entrepreneurs and students have been campaigning against the observation, demanding a permanent status so that such observations are never made in future.
If you can just tell me about the nature of the problem. Do you think that this is a political issue because the state is going to polls next year? So this does have a political ramification to it, or this is just a social problem that the people of the Sikkim can really solve?
So what is happening is, since we are not, this has become a political issue like before every other campaign, political campaign, there are issues that arise. But this we need to understand as the youth, as educated youth, we've understood that this is not only a political campaign. It's made to seem like a political campaign, but this is more than that. This is about the protection of our Article 371F. And since this has been encroached upon, and I told yesterday also that it's being demolished completely, identity as Sikkimese is being demolished. That is the main issue. The campaign, political campaign it's obviously taking a course, but that is not our agenda. We are not associated with any political organization, anything, and we are very disappointed that this is taking a political turn. Instead, actually, it's about our identity as Sikkimese, and we need to maintain it as such.
In the last 24 hours, we have spoken to everyone possible. We have spoken to politicians, we have spoken to intellectuals, we have also spoken to the young leaders in Sikkim, cutting across the party lines and the social and cultural organizations. There is a palpable sense of insecurity, and the people are really apprehensive. They don't know what will happen next. We have also spoken to a very senior minister in the state cabinet. He called this observation by the Supreme Court as unfortunate, and he assured the people, of course, when we were speaking, he said that the government will do everything to alter this kind of an observation and to seek redressal for the people of Sikkim. And the opposition party, they are also saying that they will fight this kind of a branding politically and legally. So this now looks like a cultural and social fight, of course, for identity. But Sikkim is going to polls next year, so politics, of course, in its play. There are a lot of political actions now happening here. We will keep updating you on that. Stay tuned with us with The Print. This is Madhuparna Das with Urjita Bhardwaj in Gangtok.